What's up, YouTubers? So before we get started with this video, on Get Up, they're going to be talking about Patrick Mahomes and whether he wins or loses this Sunday's Super Bowl, what will it do for his legacy? So let's see what they have to say about that.
The fact that 5 years into being a starting quarterback in the NFL, we're already having this conversation of it makes it it points out how ridiculous it is. Sure. The fact that we already are having that conversation. Just because Patrick may not win this Super Bowl, is it going to make him not the best player in the NFL? No.
Wow, that's some serious doubt for Patrick Mahomes. The man has showed you time and time again, do not doubt him.
Win on Sunday?
That's what I'm saying. It only helps. Like, he's got time. What's he, 27, 28 years old? Like, even if he loses this game, he'll win the next
They're
three.
Not going anywhere.
See,
absolutely. That's the other problem, though. He doesn't have time to win Super Bowls. Yes, he has time to submit his legacy, but I went to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, and it felt like you were going to go back each and every year because you were the number one defense then. You were the number one defense the year again, and then the next year you're number one defense, and you have a young quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. You felt the exact same way about Aaron Rodgers. When I'm playing Aaron Rodgers in that game, I'm saying next year or the year after, I'm going to see that exact same quarterback in this game. Neither one of us ever made it back, and I know that.
So I completely agree with Ryan Clark there. You never know when you're going to get back to the Super Bowl. You could just ask Dan Marino all about that. You know, there's a lot of things that could derail Patrick Mahomes from getting back to Super Bowl. Injuries, his team could completely fall apart. His team could have trades that could derail him from getting back to Super Bowl. You never know when you're going to get back to the big show. So you have to take full advantage.
Patrick Mahomes, and we're starting to get kind of in that position you get in with Michael Jordan and you get in with LeBron James, where you expect that team to compete at that high of a level every single year, but it doesn't guarantee championships. He has to be in the moment of winning now.
Let me circle this back, though, to the very beginning of this. There are 2 positions in sports that we judge by rings. Whether that is fair or not, we do it. Basketball superstars and quarterbacks. It's that simple. Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time for one reason and one reason only, because he won 7 championships and no one won more than 4. Patrick Mahomes.
So let's take a deeper look at that. So obviously Tom Brady won 7 Super Bowls, but Terry Bradshaw and Joe Montana each won 4. And they're both undefeated in the Super Bowl. So would you rather go to the Super Bowl 4 times, be undefeated, or would you rather go to the Super Bowl 10 times and win 7, but you've lost? How do you want to judge your GOAT status with the wins of Super Bowl?
As Graziano said, is on that trajectory. Nothing will change the fact that he's the best quarterback in the sport right now. But that's what I mean by immortal. He's not competing with Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. He's competing with Tom Brady
and Bill Russell
and Joe Montana and Bill Russell and Wayne Gretzky. That's what I'm talking about.
And I'm aware of that. And I understand, but I don't like the fact that we do that. That's my point. The difference in basketball is there's 10 guys on the floor. One guy can absolutely dominate the game. It's because he's done things that we haven't seen other people do.
I agree.
But when it comes to this championship, he has to go win championships like Tom Brady did early. Tom Brady played those championships without thinking about the GOAT conversation, and that's how he has to play.
Well, obviously, he's going to have to look at that. And obviously, you're going to want to win championships as early as possible because, again, you don't know if you're going to get back to the Super Bowl. So, obviously, Patrick Mahomes is going to have to take full advantage of what's going to happen on Sunday.
I don't like the fact
no
that we
one's
do it,
saying
that's
it's
all.
fair.
See, I think it's
but
fun.
the point is,
It's good for us.
We also won't lay this at the feet. It doesn't diminish Mahomes' greatness. The fact that he got this team here is in and of itself extraordinary.
No, this is
the
where I
Bengals
disagree.
we will not diminish it.
If he loses Sunday, one of the early questions Monday and or Tuesday is, what is this going to do to Patrick Mahomes?
Because it's good TV, Daniel.
Yeah, and obviously because they lost, so people are going to start doubting and looking like, yo, what's going on with Patrick Mahomes? But that doesn't mean that he completely falls off or he's completely trash. He still has time. He's still young. He's still going to have the same type of team coming up for next year. So people are going to question, because they lost, but that doesn't mean that he's completely fallen off.
And because it is a legitimate part of the conversation, because when you get there, you're supposed to play big and win the big game if you're going to be the greatest of all time. No one is disputing that he's the best in the sport right now. He has now entered that extraordinarily rarefied air of the names we just put up on that screen that he is held to an even higher standard because he's just that ridiculously good.
Yeah, so I agree with Greeny. So I think at this point, with Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, we don't have to sit back and just relax and watch Patrick Mahomes win rings. So the first ring, for the first Super Bowl ring, is the hardest ring to get. But if Patrick Mahomes wants to get to 7 rings to reach the GOAT status, all of these rings between the first ring and the 7th ring are all filler. the all filler because he's going to have to win 6 more Super Bowls to get to that 7th ring like Tom Brady. So this right here is going to help his legacy, but this is all filler, all par for the course until he gets to ring 7, until we can really talk about that ring status.
But I attach his individual performance and watching how great he is to seeing what his legacy is going to be more so than is he going to win X amount of Super Bowls.
Because he played huge.
Yeah, but you want to have the Super Bowl rings are the number one thing that's the number one thing on his stats. That's the first thing you look at, because how are you going to be the GOAT if you don't have, a ton of rings? This doesn't make type of sense.
Super Bowl 2 years ago and they didn't win.
Yeah, exactly. Great point. And the other piece is this, though. Tom Brady left New England and went to Tampa Bay and won a Super Bowl. He wasn't great, but
and he did it in the first year. That's important.
give that credit to Tom Brady because he changed an organization. That is why the championships matter, but Patrick Mahomes has to win this one to even be a part of that conversation going forward, because you're not guaranteed to get back.
And let's be clear, He knows you're right. He just doesn't like it.
No one is suggesting you have to like it, but I think you have to acknowledge it is kind of the way in the modern era we judge our sports superstars. And so maybe, just maybe, Mahomes has even more than one title at stake on Sunday. That is what separates Mahomes from the others. He's entered that Michael Jordan area. Michael Jordan's teams weren't better than the Phoenix Suns team they beat in the final in '93. They didn't have home court advantage against the Utah teams with Malone and Stockton. But you know what they had? They had Michael Jordan, and he won championships.
Yeah.
And that's what the Chiefs have. They have Patrick Mahomes, and that's why it is.
And that is exactly why I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl on Sunday, because they have Patrick Mahomes. That man's going to work his magic.
Is about one player.
No. Let's not talk about the Chiefs like the Houston Texans, okay? Like, this is a top 3 to 5 offensive line. Yep. They have a Hall of Famer in Kelsey. Both backs have been very good players. The pieces that they did add on the perimeter are good. Chris Jones is one of the best defensive tackles in football. They got a young linebacker crew that's very good. Their secondary is coming. L'Jarius Sneed's one of the best nickel cover corners in the NFL. We're not talking about the Chiefs accurately as a roster.
But if we set this game up as 21 against 21, everyone would pick the Eagles.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not me. If it's 21-21 and it's in the fourth quarter and it's going down to the wire, I'm going with Patrick Mahomes all the way. Again, Patrick Mahomes has shown time and time again that he's a winner, and it gets down to that fourth quarter. No matter what's been happening that whole game, that man has the ability to come back and get the win. I'm not doubting Patrick Mahomes at all. That's why I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl on Sunday. And it'll be a close game.
Because the quarterback is significantly cheaper right now. So, absolutely. But this is not the Kansas City Chiefs team that we saw 2 Super Bowls ago against the Buccaneers that were devastated by injuries. Yeah. This is still a really, really talented roster. Nobody's saying that they aren't really talented. Well, what we're saying is the Philadelphia Eagles are more talented. Totally. But that it's not such a variance where I'm sitting here going, wow, Patrick's got to go play Houdini football for them to go win.
It's not that.
He's going to play Houdini football regardless.
But the great ones win these games. That's just sort of the way we look at it. In basketball and with quarterbacks, we say the great ones find ways to win these games.
3 years ago.
You say that with any and all sports. It's all about the great ones are going to win a championship regardless.
Miami, I thought the San Francisco 49ers might be the better roster than the Chiefs, and I picked the Chiefs because of Mahomes. He didn't even have that good a game until the fourth quarter, but he found a way to deliver the win.
Yeah, but talking about that, Jimmy Garoppolo was absolute trash, and the play calling during that game toward the fourth quarter, towards the end, was absolutely trash too. So I wouldn't even bring that up.
Super Bowl MVP. The other thing, though, there is one other reason, like the experience here. Like, the Chiefs have done this. Like, I'm listening to Andy Reid yesterday talk about, the commercial breaks are all 10 seconds longer, and 4 of them are 20 seconds longer. And I'm like, they've lived this. And
Philly hasn't really. I'm going to say this, though. We lived it, too.
Yeah.
And we played against the Green Bay Packers, and it didn't matter. I think when you get in this game, living it, it's more so about living the moment, not reliving the times you've been there.
Who played quarterback for the...
So I think the times that you've been there, it has that experience. And I think the Kansas City Chiefs have that experience. That experience, as far as being there, it helps you in the preparation. It helps you in preparation for the week before the Super Bowl. You're not going to have distractions. You know how to stay focused because you've been there before. The Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts, this is the first time being to the Super Bowl. They've never been there before. So they just happen to be there. They can get distracted by whatever's going on during the week for the Super Bowl. All types of things can happen. But the Kansas City Chiefs, been there, done that. They're locked in. Even though they lost last Super Bowl, they've been there, done that. All we have to do is go out there and earn a ring.
Packers that day.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, good guy. Good player.
I would also add, and I love the man.
Good player.
But I don't know that Andy Reid wants to talk about his sense of timing in the Super Bowl all that much, because the first time that he did it, that didn't go so well either. I'm not sure the experience is necessarily.
That was a long time ago, Green.
God bless. Did you watch the game or did you watch the game?
We've seen